winners? Let the pros show you how to make money. General Manager Al DeMarco, a regular contributor on Fox Sports, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV, brings over 25 years of handicapping experience to the table. CEO Steve Budin, the author of Bets, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, is the man responsible for creating the online betting industry. Together, they lead PickNation.com, your #1 source for winners.
Al DeMarco here, along with Steve Budin. And guys, this is the only NFL pregame show that breaks down every single game on the board from a point spread perspective. Just quickly to recap, I've been a professional handicapper over 25 years, but what really shapes my opinion as a handicapper, Steve, is my experience that I gained as a former sports reporter. I was a sports reporter for 8-9 years, being on the field in the locker room, covering players and coaches. I look at personnel matchups. I'm not so much infatuated by computer analysis, ATS trends, and that type of mumbo jumbo. I want to know who's going to win at the line of scrimmage, who's going to be able to run the ball effectively, how the defense stacks up against the offense, and that's one of the reasons I've won 8 of the last 9 years in football. You, of course, former bookmaker Steve Budin, but more importantly, this is the guy who gave birth to what you now know as the offshore sports betting industry.
Like the George Washington of sports betting, they call me. So
without the wooden teeth.
So, listen, I mean, that's true. I never got anywhere near the players, but I got near the sharpest gamblers in the country. So all of my bets, they don't really come from my opinion. They come from the opinion of all the sources I have, sources that only a guy like me can have after 25 years of being on top of this industry.
And guys, listen, you can catch any part of this program on the website. You can watch it from beginning to end. It's available for you in case you missed any part of it. We're going to start here. We've got a number of games to run through, starting with Cleveland, Cincinnati. But Steve, you just brought up something here very important. I mean, based on your 20-plus years in this industry, you have sources
Correct.
that are well-placed throughout the country, some even internationally, and these are who you rely on for your picks. And it's different than what I do as a handicapper.
Right.
I'm analyzing games, and I'm using my own opinion and my knowledge to make selections. And yeah, I've won 8 of the last 9 years, but you're relying on contacts and sources. And explain to the viewing public how that works, and especially in relation to, you have your Baltimore crew
Correct.
going today.
That's right. And look, if I had an opinion like yours, maybe I'd use my opinion more often to bet. I have a good opinion, better than the layman, but I also have connections and connection to sources that I have from over the 25 years that I've been in this business. Guys that used to play with me, guys that I followed for 10 years, and guys that even used to play with my pops 30 years ago. So we're talking about a pool of sources that I would be foolish to bet my own opinion and not take advantage of those sources. One of them, the Baltimore crew, by far the guys out there, they know them already. They're my best crew. The last 3 years, they've won their opening NFL play each and every year. I've got another one going today, and you'd be foolish not to get on that one.
I mean, listen, the bottom line is, and you can see the records right on Steve's page on the website, 26-12-1. The Baltimore crew is, over the past 3 years, 635 dimes in net profit. So what does that mean? It's just a unit of measure. Let's put it this way. If you bet $10 per dime they release, so when they had a 50-dime play, you played $500. Over the past 3 years in the NFL, you would have cleared $6,350. Not a bad return
That's
on
one
investment.
crew.
That's one crew. And we get a lot of jokes through customer service, and you always make fun of it as well. These are not a bunch of guys running around with blue shirts that say, hey, we're the Baltimore crew.
Right.
This is what you give them,
Right.
because obviously your sources, you're not revealing sources that you've had for some of them for 25 years.
Yet it's very important that I give them a name so that my customers know exactly who's releasing the plays, what their records are, and these are crews and sources and syndicates that my customers have been following now for the better of 3 years.
And as you said, they won their opening game of the year each of the past 3 years. And today, their plays on the big game between Detroit and Tampa Bay, one of the toughest games on the card. But that's what they're coming out strong. So we'll have to see what happens there. Steve, let's pick it up here. And we've got Trace Adams coming up in just a few minutes, guys. Cleveland and Cincinnati. I don't.
This used to be a great game every year.
Yeah.
This used to be the Battle of Ohio. This used to be big news. It's nothing now.
Yeah, and listen, we're on Sports Time Ohio and aired nationally as well on DirecTV and Dish Network. But let's talk about it. From the Browns, yes, I see a team that was 2-6 against the spread at home last year, and I see a team that's quarterbacked by Colt McCoy, a second-year pro. As a starter last year, he went 2-6, and they've got a new coach, Pat Shurmur, bringing in that West Coast offense, new defensive coordinator as well.
Offense, right.
Since the Browns came back to the league in openers, 1-11 guys straight up, 2-9-1 against the spread. But I'll tell you what, I would lay the points with the Browns because whatever negative I can say about the Browns, I can give you 10 times worse about the Bengals. I don't know why Marvin Lewis is back, other than they probably didn't want to pay a coach that isn't coaching for services rendered. They've got a rookie quarterback in Andy Dalton. I never was impressed with him at TCU. I certainly am not going to be impressed with him playing at Cleveland in the road opener.
And where is Carson Palmer? He's going to show up on an episode of Cops any day now.
missing in action. I mean, and listen, the Bengals, 4-12 against the spread, their last 16 on the road. I don't care that the dog has covered 7 of the last 8 in the series. I say if you play this game, and that's the caveat, if you want to play this game, I say go with the Browns. I don't see how you can go anywhere else.
Well, when I see this line at 6.5, that definitely says to me as a former bookmaker that the bookmakers want you to take the points. They're giving you as many as they possibly can here, so what does that tell you? Lay the points.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to look into what the lines are trying to tell you. Not the lines per se, but what the bookmakers want you to do, and then go opposite. So many times in this business, people say, oh, bet opposite of the public. Well, no, actually, you want to interpret what the odds makers want you to do, and then go the opposite way. So it's a fine line
yes,
here.
Yes,
it is. Next game, I mean, this game, I got to tell you guys, Jacksonville at Tennessee. I'm handicapping this game earlier this week, right? And I'm looking at the game and I'm going, God, I really like the Jaguars here. And about a half hour later, David Garrard out of there. I think they let him go to the team luncheon that day, and then they cut him on the way out the door before he even got to the buffet line. Luke McCown is your starting quarterback. You can have this game. I want to touch it.
I'm going to show you right now what this game is. Ready? Maurice Jones-Drew right. Maurice Jones-Drew left. Maurice Jones-Drew pitch. That's all it's going to be. If Jones-Drew could start at quarterback, he would. He'd just take the snap and start running. They don't even need a quarterback. Tennessee's going to put 9 guys on the line and dare this Jacksonville team to pass, and they're just not going to be able to because they don't have the personnel.
And Tennessee is a team that couldn't stop the run last year. You got the new coach in Mike Munchak. You got the new quarterback in Matt Hasselbeck. You got Chris Johnson, who had the extended holdout. Oh, yeah, he's back, but is he in football shape? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be able to match MJD with 30 carries in this game? I don't think so. So again, I'd lean a little toward Jacksonville laying the field goal, but if you got to play this game, you definitely need our advice because this is not a game that you should be playing.
Agreed.
Next one is going to be Washington and the New York Giants. Number sitting right there on a field goal, Steve, right there at 3.
Yep.
I mean, Washington's going with Rex Grossman at quarterback. They have got a good running game. The Giants have a lot of defensive injuries. I mean, this is a team that's really injury-riddled in terms of the secondary, a little lacking along the defensive line and at linebacker core as well, but they still got that strong pass rush. They've still covered 16 of their last 23 as a road favorite.
And they still have the consistency, of having the same quarterback in, every single year. They've got new positions, new players at key positions, Washington, at pretty much every key position. Where the Giants, I'm going to go with the stability of Eli Manning. Having my guy in there, I like Big Blue here.
Yeah, and Bradshaw and Jacobs to lead the ground game. No one said that Washington could stop the ground game.
Right.
Washington's offensive line has a lot of problems. This is one of those situations, however, if you get a 3, you got to buy down the half point because you're not going to lose this game or walk away with a push on a field goal. And personally,
that's like kissing your sister.
Right, and listen, guys, I always will say this repeatedly every single week. My wife kids me about it when she watches the show, that, if the line crosses 3, 4, 7, and sometimes 10, you got to buy the half point one way or another, depending whether you're on a favorite or an underdog. And people say, oh, you're paying an extra 120, or if it's off at 3, you're paying an extra 130. Well, I got news for you. In 25 years of doing this, buying a half point one way or another has made me more money, but more importantly, saved me more money from potential pushes, from potential losses than I can even count. It always is a great thing, although I think it's one of those black and white subjects. You either like it or you don't.